Hello and welcome to another SpeedPaint video. This SpeedPaint features a character named Naomi. She belongs to my good friend Wolf, who commissioned me for this piece. Overall, I really enjoyed drawing her, especially the pose and just the character's overall style I found to be very relaxing. I almost feel like it's something that I would wear. It looks so comfortable. So Naomi's actually in the same Call of Cthulhu campaign as a character I drew previously named Fletcher. Fletcher would be my character as Naomi is Wolf's character. And so far, I believe we've had 2 or 3 sessions, and I really enjoy Fletcher and Naomi's dynamic that they're already kind of developing. Fletcher being like broody character versus Naomi being the optimistic one. There's a lot of humor, I think, in the way that they interact, but like in a wholesome way, if that makes sense. Like Fletcher being self-destructive and Naomi being like, nah bro, you shouldn't do that. We're already 2 or 3 sessions into the Call of Cthulhu campaign and Fletcher already needs therapy, so things are going very well, if you can probably guess. In this video, I want to touch on some kind of advice I have in regards to pricing commissions. I know that a lot of artists kind of underprice their work, and I myself used to do that as well. I started doing commissions back in 2017, and since then, my prices have really changed about 4 or 5 times, just trying to constantly adjust and get like the perfect price. So I think it's important to understand that prices are going to change, and it takes a lot of tweaking to figure out where you want your commissions to be in that price range. And I think it's unlikely that somebody's going to be able to price their commission at what it's worth on the very first try, because it takes experience to learn how much time goes into making each piece, and your time is worth something. The time that you spend on something should be taken into consideration when you're figuring out how much it costs. An artist has to ask themselves, how much is my time and experience worth? There's also a third thing to take into consideration, and that is what trips artists up the most, especially early on, and that is how much are people willing to pay? It's easy to overcompensate this, especially when commissions are moving slower. It's easy to think, hey, I'm overpricing this, nobody's buying it because it's too expensive. So you end up overcompensating it and just in general underselling yourself and your work. So first thing you want to do when pricing your commissions is figure out how much time it takes you to complete a piece on average. For me, I can fluctuate anywhere between 3 hours and 6 hours depending on how much detail goes into a piece. So I take that into consideration when I'm figuring out my commission price. You also want to take into consideration your personal experience level, because per hour a high experience artist is worth more than a low experience artist. Not saying like you're bad or anything, it's just something an artist has to understand eventually. There's always going to be another artist who's better than you. Like, that's just how the art world works. So you have to find an artist at a similar level as you and compare your prices to theirs. I remember that when I originally priced my commissions, I compared myself with an artist that I liked, who I regarded as being more talented than myself. So I saw their commission prices and then I lowered mine. I ended up overcompensating, of course, and I lowered mine too much. But like I said earlier, it takes some tweaking and understanding to kind of figure out how much you're worth as an artist. Finally, when pricing your commissions, you have to understand that there's going to be an adjustment period. Supply and demand is unpredictable. If slots are filling up too quickly and you can't keep up, maybe consider raising your prices. If commissions are moving too slow for a very long period of time, that's when you want to consider lowering it. And also, as you improve your skills as an artist, you want to tweak your prices for that. You gain experience, your experience costs something. You also want to pay attention to yourself while you're working. If you're doing commissions and you're thinking to yourself, this is really hard, or I feel like I'm being taken advantage of, hear that voice, and when you go back through to adjust your prices again, consider how can I make this feel more fair for me as an artist, or even vice versa, if you feel like you're taking advantage of your customers or clients, how can you make it feel more fair for them? These are things you want to take into consideration. I remember one of the times that I changed my prices was because I had a set price for an additional character that was too low. And I noticed this because all of my commission orders were wanting additional characters, and it felt like it was a lot of work. Throughout the process, I would keep telling myself, wow, this is hard, this is difficult, and I'm only making so-and-so number on this additional character that's taking just as much time as the other one. So I went back and I changed my prices for the additional character. I changed my rules up so that the clients couldn't take advantage of me, and it works. Another thing you want to consider is the art community as a whole. Artists want fair payment. They want to have an hourly wage that's competitive, and many people outside of the artist community don't take artists seriously. They think, oh, this piece only takes 2 minutes, why should I pay them, X amount of dollars? Some individuals who don't understand that the creative process takes time and it's work. It's work, and therefore it deserves a fair hourly wage. When an artist is pricing their commissions too low, consider what example that sets for other artists. Sure, they're willing to voluntarily work for $2 an hour, but that's disregarding their worth along with the worth of the entire art community. If you want to work for $2 an hour, that's on you, but you're setting this example and expectation that art is not difficult, it's not worth a lot. And overall, that's just not healthy for artists who need this kind of income to make a living or want to do this sort of as a career. Here's a little story. A long time ago, I posted my prices to a sort of Reddit forum. I'm sure it was something that kind of like encourages commissions and they share them around and everything. I can't remember. I think it was one of the few times I've ever posted anything to Reddit, for good reason. And I posted my prices and I got a ton of downvotes, and just with no explanation, no comments, no anything. And it was so disheartening. It's like, why? I've never received so much negative feedback. I have no idea what's wrong with it. No one will explain. And then finally, I think a mod commented, sort of like an automated message, something that said to the extent of, to benefit the artist community, try pricing your work at a living wage of $10 an hour. And that was very eye-opening for me. Just understanding that other artists also want you to treat your art like it's worth something. It doesn't just affect you, it affects them. Price it at a living wage. Your art is worth something. Make it worth something. Since then, I feel like I have found a pretty good price range to hover in. If you're also interested in getting a piece like this commissioned from me, please consider checking out my commission form. I will go ahead and leave a link to it in the description. I really do enjoy drawing these new characters. I think that it's helpful to sort of get me out of my comfort zone. And oftentimes I'm very surprised by all of these creative characters that people want me to draw for them. So yes, if you are interested, please consider checking out my commission form. And that's going to about wrap it up for this SpeedPaint video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.